what we want to talk about here is the San Jacinto River Watershed Management Initiative, but like Craig said, it just basically stands as a framework or an example for any other watershed in the state. So even though this is specific, you can basically put your watershed in the same place and see kind of what direction we're going in. Okay, what is a watershed management program? Well, first of all, it's community-based. What we found out is that you can't just go in a big picture kind of thing in one of these watersheds and say, okay, we're from the government, we're here to help you. That just doesn't fly most of the time anymore. What these are, they're community-based to get folks that care about a particular area of the watershed involved so they know what's going on up and down and all throughout the watershed, because each part of a watershed affects every other part. Basically, it's an umbrella program. It's designed to bring together components and partners throughout the watershed. Again, just a way to get everybody together and see what all is going on. Act as a clearinghouse for information. That's a big issue. A lot of times, the folks in this case, the folks on Lake Conroe, don't know what's going on Lake Houston or what's going on the river or below the Lake Houston Dam. They're just all these different parts of these big systems that we work with and we deal with and we rely on so heavily that without this kind of information exchange, people don't know how what they're doing affects someone else or vice versa. Again, work with partners to obtain funding. This is a lot of what Dave was talking about, some of what Rick and Marshall were talking about. There are funding opportunities out there, but you've got to put these packages together with all your partners. And today's been tremendous for me just to see all the things that are being done and all the things that can be accomplished through partnerships, and that's what we're trying to do at a watershed scale. It's coordinated with Parks and Wildlife, not because we're great, but because nobody else would do it, basically. We were the only ones that would volunteer, so we got the job. Okay, why the San Jacinto watershed? The reason that we're working on this one, from our standpoint, this watershed is contained pretty much completely within the Snook district, the district down in basically southeast, south central Texas. The San Jacinto River is extremely important, that whole drainage is, and extremely imperiled. It was recognized in the number 9 most endangered river on the American Rivers list in 2006. And Lake Houston, the lower reservoir in this drainage, was listed by the Reservoir Fisheries Fish Habitat Partnership as a water to watch in 2009. So it's recognized nationally as important and imperiled. It's not too big, it's not too small. Got about 187 miles of mainstream channel, which is a lot shorter than a lot of our river drainages. About 4,000 square mile drainage area. But it's very important because this drainage provides almost all of the surface drinking water for the Houston metropolitan area, about 6 million people. And Houston, because of subsidence, because it's sinking from groundwater withdrawals, it's going to have to go almost completely to surface water. So this water is going to become more and more important all the time. Okay, who are the partners? We've got a lot of partners listed here, and I'm sure there are many more that if I thought harder, I would see again. Parks and Wildlife, all of our different branches and divisions are working together within this watershed. Again, there are 2 state parks in this watershed that have major reservoirs or decent sized reservoirs on their important fisheries. Huntsville State Park has Lake Raven, and the Lake Sheldon State Park, of course, has Lake Sheldon. Also, our coastal fisheries folks are working with us. Our wildlife folks are very interested because this isn't just about fish. Fish are very important to us, obviously, but this is about fish, wildlife, people, everything, economy, industry, everybody that's in these watersheds. As far as other groups, San Jacinto River Authority is a major river authority. City of Houston also is a major water body authority. Corps of Engineers has been working with us a lot. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is a partner. Texas Commission on Environmental Quality is TCQ. NRCS is the Natural Resource Conservation Service. Federal agency used to be Soil Conservation Service. Texas A&M University, several other universities, University of North Texas, the Sam Houston State University, several are working with us. and lots of non-governmental organizations, BASS, Seven Coast Bass Club, Texas White Bass Unlimited, just to name a few, and other angling groups. So a lot of different folks are working with us in this watershed. Oh, and by the way, that picture is what happens when your contractor brings a truck that's too big to get to the boat ramp. That's an alternate form of fish docking. It's called a boat. Okay, how much does it cost to do the kind of work we're talking about watershed wide? A lot. We've spent over $3 million so far, and again, this is from all these different funding sources, habitat management, treating vegetation, planting vegetation, increasing outreach, building boat ramps, all these different things. But it does cost a lot of money, and it's going to cost a lot more as we tackle all the issues within this watershed. Where's the money come from? Parks and Wildlife operating, obviously, just for our time and our equipment and those kind of things. Boater access funds, that helps with not only building boat ramps, but you can do some dredging work, vegetation control work, that kind of thing. Controlling authorities like San Jacinto River Authority and City of Houston, other agencies like the Corps of Engineers and TCEQ. BASS, of course, has been a partner. Harris County and Montgomery County have been partners. And a lot of private donations, but not the stimulus. We put in $6 million request and we got nothing, and I'm still bitter about that, even though that's been 2 years ago. Okay, so what's happened so far? We're doing a lot of different things. Certainly control of exotic species, integrated pest management control. It does cost a lot of money, but keeping those non-desirable plants, like several folks have talked about, down. Also native vegetation establishment, like we've talked about, like this project on Lake Conroe that Ron described to us earlier today. That's a big part of it. Access improvements at Lake Conroe, or at Lake Raven, new boat ramp there. All kinds of information out there, magazine articles, that kind of thing. Working with the City of Houston on a constructed wetland pilot project to try to deal with some of the sedimentation issues at Lake Houston. That very first slide on the cover, you might have seen all that braided channel. That's the San Jacinto River between Lake Conroe and Lake Houston. It's got a lot of gravel dredging work that's been done in it. It's really torn that channel up. And if you ever wondered, if you ever been down on Lake Houston, you wonder why it looks so differently than Lake Conroe. That's why. And that's one of the major problems that we're trying to tackle. It's not an easy one, but that's one of those things that we're dealing with. And this constructed wetland for sediment filtration is part of that. They're also looking at some water hyacinth harvesting for some different kind of projects, using as soil additives and that kind of thing. And native vegetation establishment project that we think we've got funding for, at least part of the funding, about $30,000 or so at Lake Raven, and we're looking for some more match there too. But again, another opportunity to enhance the native vegetation at Lake Raven and Huntsville State Park. What's next? Keep building coalitions around local issues. It's a big one. It's kind of never ending, but it is the key behind this. The Friends of Reservoir groups that Dave was talking about a few minutes ago, I think that's going to be absolutely key for us as we go forward in this watershed approach. Because if we can get friends groups at Lake Conroe, at Lake Houston, at Lake Raven, at Sheldon, then we're going to have a core of people that are active and want to work to take some of these problems on, and then they'll be able to reach out into those local communities, bring in more people to identify the issues there. We need to bring all these folks together into a work session, kind of a big picture kind of thing, so we can start to see what the issues are we haven't identified and how we can break into work groups to address these issues. And then we've got several priority projects that are already kind of on the books that we're working on. Just a GIS database, which basically just means everything that's going on in the watershed, all the building, all the road construction, all those types of things, so we know what's actually happening in the watershed. Again, we're trying to put together a river restoration gravel mine recreation plan, looking for funding for that to try to deal with that gravel mining between Conroe and Houston. Native vegetation restoration at Lake Conroe is going to continue, as Ron talked about earlier today, and also we're looking to do those types of projects at Lake Raven, Lake Houston, and we're looking for different sources of funding to do those because, again, each one of these projects is typically $50,000 and up just for the materials needed. And one really neat thing, develop a conservation and recreation guide for Lake Conroe and Lake Raven. This is a project we wanted to do where basically it's a handout that describes all the different recreation possibilities in this area around Lake Conroe. The fish, the fisheries, how to fish, wildlife, birding list, all the recreational opportunities. And we've got a partner in the Dockline magazine that has agreed to print this for free. And I got that commitment from him, I guess, not before last. So that's a really great thing. That's about $100,000 that somebody's going to work with us on. So, those opportunities are out there, and that's great. And then continue to improve access. We're going to need some dredging probably down at Lake Sheldon so anglers can get out there. We've got the habitat of that lake in good shape. We just need to get better access to it. So that's just kind of an overview on some of the top projects that are out there, and there'll be many more under this umbrella. And basically that's just to remind me, this is another thing we want to do is work with the Texas Department of Transportation, get these signs up so you know what watershed you're in, so you know how valuable this resource is, and just bring that to everybody's attention. That's all I've got.